In this video, we're going to make it clear what you need to do and what you should not do for you to be on top of your game and live your best life yet. You will see that it is much simpler than you might have thought, and if you aren't experiencing your best life yet, and joy and happiness, then you will see that you have simply just done a few things that you shouldn't have done. If you can eliminate those and simply do what you should do, then you will get there in no time. It's pretty easy to understand that if you do it right, then you will get results. And if you do it in a somewhat wrong way, then you will get other types of results. Essentially, if you get it in this game, then you have learned to not care about things, anything. You don't care. You choose to be neutral instead, and from that place of neutrality, you naturally do what you want to do. You're naturally happy, you naturally do the right thing at the right time, and you don't worry about things. You simply don't care. And if you are struggling a little with being in that state of being, it is simply because you care about things in your mind. It's kind of like your mind has many arms, and you can grab onto things. Essentially, if you right now are experiencing slight overwhelmedness, extreme overwhelmedness, or anything that isn't infinity, peace, then you are holding on to things in your mind. These little arms of your mind is sticking out, holding on to a lot of random things, and you need to clean it away. If you really get it in this game, you have taken care of yourself. You have recognized that no thing is worth holding on to, and when you then let go, by visualizing, for example, you will be able to be. Because essentially you have two choices: to be or not to be. Well, to be or to hold on to something. If you hold on to something, you have exchanged your possibility of being with the experience of holding on to that thing. And it might seem logical that you need to hold on to it because it's so annoying, or it is scary, or it is confusing, but you shouldn't even care about those things. There is no thing you should care about. Nothing. And whatever is coming to mind now, yeah, but this is bothering me. Well, you should let go of it. You should focus on simply just being neutral here and now, and then you will be free. And what you could do is to right now make a decision to clean your energies, to let go with all of the small little hands that are holding things in the mind. Visualize that you are rather infinite, that your mind is clean, that you are simply able to be, that you are here and now. And you could sit like this if you wanted to. Scan your mind, see if there is something in any way, shape, or form that you are holding on to. Visualize that you're letting go, and experience being. And if you were to take this seriously today and recognize that this is a way of life, for you to truly be high frequency, you need to let go. You should not be holding on to anything whatsoever. I'm going to make it simple. Essentially, you have two choices in this game. You can choose to be source neutral, or you can choose to activate your mind in regards to whatever it should be. Any idea or thought or fear or worry or concern anything you could ever experience outside of Source. And really being on top of your game is about coming to the point of recognizing that activating your mind like that, being in your thoughts, is not really going to give you the experience of freedom, the experience of really being Source outside of the game, and having a great accomplishment when it comes to being Source, to being free and neutral. It's just not going to happen by accident. It comes from practice and from a phenomenal ability to recognize that these ideas that are going on in the mind are not something that should be entertained. You could call it traps. And you're probably very familiar with the ideas. We could sit and talk a long time about all sorts of different type of ideas or fears or conspiracy theories, or things you could worry about, or things you would try to steer away from, or things you would want to change or wish that it wasn't like that. But I'm talking about all those things. I'm saying that everything you can possibly think of is not worth energizing. Nothing of it. You should not care about any of it. If you knew what was good for you, you would choose only to be in your source center, in your source energies, in your infinity, all the time. And you would sit down right now, for example, and clean away things with a pillar spin, recognize these things you have grabbed onto with your mind, and choose to not hold on to them anymore. Really learn to be in a state of infinity, where you are neutral about everything. And if you took that seriously today, and from now on, you would be doing the most potent type of work that you can do in this game. And it is rather when you have learned that, when you have mastered it, that you can start expanding. And you could recognize the powers that come with that type of frequency. And there are many. There is so much. Some of them will of course need extra attention and practice before you master them. A lot of it will come very naturally, very quickly. But don't overwhelm yourself with believing or thinking that you need to go and gain a lot of powers now. You should have the most important, powerful power there is, the ability to be. Because then you are yourself, and you're free, and you're happy, and you're tremendously powerful. You have the power of not letting anything control you. And if you can simply understand that everything should be let go of, absolutely everything, then you choose right now to let go of everything. To see these little hands let go, to cut it away, to focus all on your experience, on being here and now, being infinite, simply being source, being neutral. Essentially what we're saying is that anything you could think of would always exist here, somewhere in the mind. And if it exists here, it means that you have held on to it. If you let go of it, you get infinity, you get freedom, you're outside of the game. And from that point, you would want to increase your source self connection. Imagine that this connection grows, becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can choose to practice right now to expand it, to hold everything with an open hand, visualize that you aren't holding on to anything, and you can boost your source connection. Because ultimately what you would want to experience is freedom, to be outside of the game, to not be in the matrix. But how are you going to accomplish that unless that is what you intend for? Unless that is what you are choosing to do right now? But what does that look like? What does it actually look like to do that work? Well, that is what we just talked about. Doing that type of work looks in a certain way. It does not come from giving in to all sorts of things, but it comes from letting go of them. It comes from increasing your source self-connection so that the totality of the source self-connection can replace what previously was attachments to all sorts of ideas. And if there was one thing you would benefit from spending your time doing from now on, this would be it. You could do it now, you could do it 20 times throughout the day. And there is one more thing you would benefit tremendously from, to really boost your ability to master this part of the game. And that is to enter the silence. Really master the silence. And I would absolutely recommend that you go through the muscle tensing techniques in the beginning of the silence to really get relaxed. If you do that, tense your muscles to get really relaxed, and do this at least once daily. You don't need to lay there for so long, but at least get into the silence. And when you're laying in the silence, you choose to let go of everything. If you can really focus on choosing to simply just be neutral in the moment, then you are doing phenomenal. If you think about it, what could possibly ever be the root of any type of pain or ailments, any type of frustration or headache, or whatever type of thing that could possibly ever weigh on you? It is simply this. This is it. It is because you're holding on to something, and that thing has a certain weight, it's affecting you in a certain way, and if you can cut that connection, you will heal, you will be happy, you will be free. But of course we might have several things that are weighing on us. If you can take this seriously and cut yourself loose, really boost your source self-connection, and be someone who doesn't care about things, who doesn't see something that you don't like or that is against what you think is okay, and then you hold on to it or get emotional from it, but you can rather just be neutral, then most things will take care of themselves for you. Your frequency, your happiness, your freedom. Choose to be neutral, choose to not give in. If you recognize that you are not in your infinity right now, then run the pillar spin, clean it away, while you visualize that you are free here and now, in tremendous source self-connection, in happiness. See these little hands let go, and you can take your pillar spin to the next level. You visualize this pillar spinning anti-clockwise, but you can have some rings of the same type of energy that goes up and down and cuts any type of things that you might have been holding on to. But it's very important to put your intent on something as you do this. You will benefit the most from intending to be neutral in your source center, cutting away everything, being completely free. So I've gotten quite a few emails lately talking about typical type of problems. It could be anything from entity attachments, how to deal with them, or night sleep, or dreams, a lot of different things. This right here that I've been talking about now is essentially the solution to all of it. How could you possibly have dreams like that if nothing was energized? How could you possibly believe that you had some entity attachments, or at least felt some symptoms from it, unless you had been giving into something? So previously I've used to say that if something is triggering you, it always has to be an illusion. And there are so many things. Right now I'm burning a candle right here. This candle could potentially release some fumes, and they might not necessarily be good for me. Now, is this something I should energize and believe? How is it going to affect me? What's going to happen? I can choose to believe that it will affect me negatively. And then it possibly could. But if I'm neutral about it, then nothing could happen. And the same goes for entity attachments, or dreams at night, or chemtrails, or eating gluten. And it goes on and on. You know it very well. What should we do with all of these things? Be neutral about them. Can't give into it. Simply cut loose. Choose to rather be free and neutral. So again, we have two choices in this game. Having not cared about any of it, having chosen to be neutral about it instead, and therefore having gotten a very good source-self connection where we can be free. That is one of them. Or the other one is to give in to everything, give in to most of it at least. And we can then understand how this whole field around you is anything but infinite. You have all of these blockages, each and every little thing, the candle with the fumes, or the chemtrails, or whatever it should be, is me placing myself out here in a reasonably crazy little idea, surrendering my energy, creating a potential unbeneficial experience. All of them are unbeneficial if you compare it to the source-self connection. And eventually, when you believe in too many things, you get all lost. Your source-self connection will shrink down to nothing, and the experience here and now is pretty much just being a sleepwalker. You just walk around and believe all sorts of things, and you can do that. Or you can choose to not care about anything, be neutral about it, and rather expand your source-self connection to the point where you are pure power. And it's so helpful to be aware of this, aware that that is how it works. You have these ideas that you surrender to, and they take over. You decrease your source-self connection, and then suddenly you're lost in the game. But if you can know that, to some extent, that is what we have been doing, and they are simply just small little connections from the mind, into these ideas, and we can just cut them, just clean them away. If you can see it like that, if you can think of it like that, then the cleansing can be complete. You can really cleanse it away. And you could do it right now. Let's say that we were to do it right now, actually. Right now, around the pillar spin, I intend to be disconnected from all sorts of ideas, or entities, or concepts, or thoughts and beliefs. And I intend to rather be in a good source-self connection, in the moment, in happiness, here and now, fully and completely. And I cut and remove all sorts of connections in any time-space, realm and dimension, in any past or future that is holding me to these beliefs, completely cutting myself loose so that I can be infinite here and now. And you see what we did with past and future. We could of course think that we're cleaning it right now, but in a minute from now it goes back to being the way it was. And you need to be aware of things like that. Because these beliefs or these connections can exist very deep inside. They can exist here or in your head. And if you can intend to clean all of them, you will be able to clean all of them. But stay aware. Recognize if you have gotten to a place of infinity and neutrality, or if there is something left. You will be surprised when you recognize that, wow, that is actually a thing also. And it is a thing to let go of. And you can choose to be someone who recognizes those things. Essentially, you're just going to clean till you get to 100%, and you don't want to fool yourself when you are at 95% and think that you took care of everything. You are going to know it when you are truly free, neutral, and in the moment. Not weighed down by any illusion, but simply just pure power. So stay aware. Really recognize it if there is something you have overlooked, and then you clean that away also. Cut the connection, let go with your hands, and then do it again. And even when you are in the neutrality, in the infinity, you clean again, scan in past or future, and see if there is something you can possibly cut and let go of. So you might have understood it till now, but what is all this going to do for you? Why should we do this? Well, it is so that you can truly be on top of your game. Essentially, it was always ever just about being able to be free or not, and you want to be free. And being free is essentially just about not being controlled, but being in control. And if you have given into anything, then you aren't really in control. Those little ideas or matrices or entities are concepts of their own that are not only existing here as you're thinking about that thing, but they are further, again, affecting your beliefs, your reality, creating more illusions, and the sooner you can let go of it, the better, before it grows. So right now, we can do another little cleanse. I'm going to help you a little. You can close your eyes, and we now run the pillar spin to cut and let go of everything so that we rather can have a tremendous source-self connection in neutrality, in infinity, here and now in the moment. The pillar spin is powerful. It has those extra functionalities that are going up and down and are cutting everything. In there also, on that side, there also, cutting all of those other ones. And you're now experiencing being completely neutral in your source-self connection in the complete center of your head. And the source-self connection is growing tremendously. You're boosting it with your energies, now cutting away everything else that is hindering the source-self connection from growing stronger. And that's it. And we're now scanning again. Is there anything that could be cut and neutralized in any time, space, realm, and dimension, past and future? There, now it's being cut at all of it. Your energies are being retrieved to you. You're neutral, powerful. And you can keep sitting there if you want to, and let it clean. So let's say now that you're able to get to a state of being where you simply just are. And then you might wonder, what now? What's supposed to happen? Well, you have to understand that from that state of being, when you are neutral and not affected by anything, because previously you would be affected by the idea that you need to wash the floor right now or vacuum, and you really don't want to, but you just do it anyway. Well, first of all, that was not an enjoyable experience to you. It couldn't have been. If you didn't have any source of connection in it, then who's there to enjoy it? But now, whenever Source wants to wash the floor or vacuum, it will happen naturally, and it will be enjoyable. So that's what's going to happen now. You're going to be, and you're going to do the things that you enjoy. And that might be to just sit there, and then suddenly you feel like doing something. And then you do that. But you're doing it out of free will, in joy, and not because you have to, with no joy. And now it's just about taking this seriously. You can't go back to the old ways of being frantic about having to do all sorts of things outside of joy. You really would want to make this a lifestyle. And if you recognize that this was the point of the game all along, to break free and be in control and do the things that you enjoy, well, then you take it seriously now. You sit down like this. Of course, you can stand if you like to. You can even lay down. But you visualize yourself having cut everything away, gathered yourself, being free from all these ideas. And then you enjoy just being in the moment, being neutral, being infinite. And whatever you suddenly feel like doing, you will just do. Maybe you will go to town or take a walk or create something or build something or wash something. You know, who knows? But you will be free. And yeah, we're really just talking about two potential experiences here. The experience of being in control or being without control. The experience of being free or being trapped. The experience of joy or not. Because let's face it, you're not enjoying washing the floor when you don't want to. You have very little presence, and you can't really measure it by the joy you're experiencing. The joy is your source self-connection, and if you don't enjoy something, then you simply have very poor source self-connection in it. You will have poor power, poor joy, poor happiness, and you will become very good at it. And you will wear yourself out. You will walk around and think that you have to do all sorts of things, and they aren't enjoyable, but they need to be done now, and you will just do it, and your life will run away from you, and suddenly you're old. But there is more to it. You will get aches. I mean, can you imagine doing something that you don't want to and having a poor mindset in the rest of your body? You see it again and again. In people that are in a job they don't like, they might get lower back pain. Of course, it depends on what type of dislike they have to the job, but they could get knee pain, they could get whatever. If you do what you enjoy, then there will be no pain. You will just have joy. You'll have a good time. So let's say that you clean right now. You neutralize, you're infinite, you're now in the moment. You have cut yourself loose from everything, and you have tremendous power. And you might wonder, what if you watch a movie? The movie might contain a lot of things that might trigger you a little. Well, if it is triggering you, it's just rather reminding you of what things you have been holding on to, but maybe you aren't able to completely remove them. But you could also watch YouTube, maybe some conspiracy stuff, or you could run into some other things that are triggering you. Well, if it could ever trigger you, it's because you are still holding on to it. You care about it in a way. And well, now it came to the surface, you could clean it away. But you have to understand that if you watch too much stuff and you're overwhelming yourself a little with too many things that aren't necessarily being cleaned away, then you will simply just get a lot of mess. It will be many things filling up your mind, and you will of course need to clean again. The best thing would be if you could, of course, have a good source of connection that could guide you and tell you whether or not you have watched too much YouTube right now, or if this movie is something you should watch. But the best way to really clean it away is to simply just not care about it. Accept everything as a part of the matrix and just be neutral about it. Because what you could have done is to have to learn everything about it. To learn why they behaved like that and what type of mindset they're in and what type of trauma they need to have to do that type of thing, or what type of world perception they need to have to behave like that. But now you're kind of just expanding and widening your comprehension for something which isn't necessarily going to benefit you so much, because it takes a lot of work, and what you would benefit the most from right now is simply to just be neutral, be in the moment, be infinite, be free. And yet there is always more you can learn, always more you can understand. Oh, trust me, there is so much videos out there and content. There are so many situations, and they are all a little different. It's tremendous. And you can understand all of it, but it's going to take a lot of work. And you can take it a little by little if there is something that interests you. But remember, the most important thing is to be infinite and neutral and happy and free. And you don't need to know everything. You don't need to have clarity about exactly why that happened over there or why they are experiencing this and that. Take care of yourself. Really take care of you being free and happy. And then later, maybe it comes to you. Maybe you suddenly feel like figuring it out, and maybe you then are so powerful that you can just see it for what it is. So now we're starting to get a really good understanding for what it means to do the work. This is it. Besides this, there is one other important piece of work that needs to be done, and that is to just get the understanding for who you are, where you are. There's a lot of information about that on my channel. The best one is of course Judy, absolutely, but you have probably watched all of it at least 2 times, and you have enough clarity about what this is. It's a matrix, dream state reality. And you are a source player, you're neutral at core, you are tremendously powerful. You have all of that type of info. You have done the work, and you've probably done good. But have you really done the work that comes next? The work of being neutral and not giving in to things. we could probably say that that is the only work that remains. Use your strong, powerful intent on being free here and now, being someone that doesn't give in to things, be someone who cut it away. Visualize yourself being free. Visualize yourself being in highest frequency, right here and now, being happy and clean. Clean, clean, clean. Be completely free. Be tremendously good at recognizing if there is anything that remains to clean away, if there is any connections that needs to be cut, and be neutral. Just be neutral. Do this, I would say, a lot every day. Do a little check-in on yourself now and then and see if there is something that is weighing on you. Are you infinite and free and happy here and now? Or are you doing something else? Are you fiddling around with something in your mind? Should you rather be free and happy and joyful so that you can let the joy guide you towards whatever you want to do right now? If you do this, then you will be doing the work. This is the work. And if you don't do it, well, you're always doing something. So what are you doing then? You might be thinking that you're doing the work. But a fair rule to remember is that doing the work isn't a lifestyle. It's something you do to get a certain result. And in this case, you are doing the work to get a certain result, the result of being outside of the matrix and being neutral and free. And you can efficiently accomplish that, really. It's much simpler than you think. It is cleaning, neutralizing, and you would be cleaning and neutralizing and cutting the things that previously held you in the matrix. And you take it seriously. Do it all the time, every day, all the time, many times throughout the day, and really become good at it. And before you know it, you are in 9/11, and you're free, and you have tremendous clarity and power, and you are in charge, you're in control, and you have won the game for yourself. The fun thing about this, and you could say the fun thing about this approach, even though there is nothing special about this approach really, it is the type of approach that have been talked about all along, but you can understand it so well that it really works for you. The fun thing about it is that you have so instant reward. You feel it right away when you let go of something and you increase your presence and your joy. And you can reach level 100 right now. But after a minute or two, you might encounter other things that have been hindering you. And what do you do then? You clean. Instant reward, instant boost. You don't have to stay blind for a week not knowing what type of results you get. If you clean something right now, you get increase right now. And if you boost your source of connection right now, it happens right now. And it really is just about completing that work and sticking to it. And not going out there and creating a mess for yourself again. Know the cost of watching something in a daze or being mindless to whatever you're doing, or to not be present and aware and cautious. You could even put a timer on your phone if you're very serious about this. Every hour you're supposed to do a 2-minute cleanup. And you're going to be self-aware. You're going to scan your mind, see if there is something you're holding onto, and cut it every hour. Of course, that is going to make you super aware, super skilled at cleaning, and you're not going to accidentally forget about it now. And then you catch yourself in 3 days, and you barely remember the concept and the clarity of why this is important and how it works. And then you do it kind of halfway, and then in 6 months you remember it again because you somewhat almost accidentally watched this video. You can take it seriously now. You can intend to be ready and put on a timer. It's all up to you. So, if you have benefited from this video, kindly consider becoming a supporter. Abundance, health and prosperity to you. Thank you so much.